7 million people, that is the number sitting inside the enhanced risk zone for Friday, March 6th. And the Storm Prediction Center did not draw that orange area lightly, because this is the first big-time severe weather situation of 2026, and the forecasters who watch these setups for a living are using the words tornado outbreak, and dare I say, in the same sentence, and when that kind of language shows up on the 63rd day of the year. It means something. Before Friday gets here, though, Thursday is already a serious storm day, and here is what makes Thursday's setup so dangerous. In one sentence, warm Gulf moisture loaded with dew points near 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit is about to slam into bone-dry desert air along a razor-sharp dry line. And when those two air masses meet, supercells explode, and the storm chasers who track these setups for a living are already calling Thursday a chase day and a half. And then Friday does not end at sunset. The squall line hits Kansas City around 9 p.m. Friday night reaches Chicago by 4 a.m. Saturday morning. And by 3 to 4 p.m. Saturday afternoon, it is still producing severe weather in Pennsylvania. This is a storm sequence that's going to be running for nearly 48 straight hours across a footprint that stretches from Dallas all the way to the Atlantic. And it is not going to stop because the sun went down. Which part of this 48-hour sequence hits your area and when depends entirely on your zip code. So let's break it down day by day and city by city, starting right now with Thursday. And if you have a NOAA weather radio, tonight is the night to make sure it has fresh batteries in it, because this is the kind of multi-day setup where the alerts can come at 2 a.m. just as easily as 2 p.m. Thursday's primary threat zone runs from the Texas and Oklahoma panhandle straight up into southern Kansas, and the cities on alert for Thursday afternoon and evening are Amarillo, Lubbock, Wichita Falls, Abilene, Oklahoma City, Lawton, Dodge City, and Wichita, with storms expected to fire late afternoon around 5 to 6 p.m. Central, as that dry line sharpens and the daytime heating gives supercells everything they need to explode. The Thursday hazards in order of likelihood: large hail as the primary threat, with golf ball to hen egg size possible in isolated spots capable of 2-inch diameter or larger, damaging wind gusts above 60 to 70 miles per hour as the secondary threat, and tornadoes as the conditional but real third threat, particularly east of Amarillo, where the atmosphere is most loaded and the dry line is sharpest. This is where the chase day and a half is going to happen. And that also means this is where the most dangerous conditions will be. Protect your vehicles right now. If you are anywhere near the Panhandle or western Oklahoma, 2-inch hail landing on an unprotected car is the kind of damage that takes weeks to sort out with your insurance company. And if you have not yet made a plan for where to shelter, if a tornado warning is issued for your county, Thursday afternoon is the time to make that plan, not Thursday evening when the sirens are already going. Amarillo at 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit with a very high severe storm risk. Thursday afternoon, Lubbock at 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit and also squarely in the crosshairs. Oklahoma City at 62 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit with scattered supercells possible starting mid-afternoon. Tulsa at 62 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit with a hail and wind risk. Wichita sitting in the southern Kansas bullseye with severe thunderstorms described as likely, in Dodge City in the slight risk zone with the same supercell threat extending through the evening hours. The one wild card for Thursday is low cloud cover that could linger through the morning. If it sticks around too long, it caps the atmosphere and delays the whole show. But if those clouds break by early afternoon as expected, the window for explosive supercell development opens fast and stays open and Thursday night. After the surface-based storms fire near sunset, storms track eastward toward the I-35 corridor, where the threat shifts from hail and tornadoes to straight-line damaging winds. Dallas and Fort Worth at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit Thursday, with a lower risk than Wednesday, but absolutely not off the hook. Thursday's storms from the west could push far enough east by evening to bring hail and gusty winds into DFW. And here is the detail that matters most about Thursday night: the storms that fire in the Panhandle. Thursday evening are going to lay down rain and consolidate overnight. and how they behave overnight directly controls how much energy is left for Friday's main event. Drop your city in the comments right now if you are in the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, or southern Kansas, and you can see anvil-topped cells building to your west this afternoon. Tell us what it looks like if you are in DFW or OKC and the sky is turning that eerie greenish color. Tell us we use those real-time ground reports to pinpoint where the overnight threat is moving faster than any model update can track. And we pull them directly into tomorrow's live coverage. Nashville at 68 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit Thursday with thunderstorms possible. Memphis at 70 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit and warm Louisville at 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit with showers and storms possible and across the Mid-South. Thursday's the transition day. A rainy Thursday gives way to record warm Friday morning before the cold front crashes through. And that warm to cold whiplash by Friday afternoon is exactly what loads the atmosphere for the worst of the week. Chicago at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, Thursday with showers and possible thunderstorms. Indianapolis at 48 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit with rain and storms possible. Columbus at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit with showers. Cincinnati at 48 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit with rain, and Chicago needs a specific heads up. Here you are in the slight risk on Friday. You are directly in the path of that squall line arriving around 4 a.m. Saturday. And making sure your outdoor furniture is secured before Friday night is not an overreaction. It is exactly the right call. The flooding threat is the story running quietly underneath all of this severe weather, and the numbers are significant: a widespread 4 to 10 inches of rain over the next 7 days across a corridor from northeast Texas through southeast Oklahoma, western Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and up through the Ohio River Valley. The bullseye is southeast Oklahoma, western Arkansas, and northeast Texas. Feast or famine rainfall on ground that has been running dry, and the creeks and streams simply cannot absorb it fast enough when it arrives all at once. Detroit at 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit with possible rain. Cleveland at 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit with showers. Pittsburgh with rain likely. New York at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, breezy with rain showers. Boston at 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, milder with showers. Washington, D.C. at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit with rain, and the Northeast is watching this week's storm sequence build to the southwest. The same way you watch a brush fire on the horizon, it is not at your door today. But the smoke is already visible, and by Saturday, the squall line from Friday's event is still producing severe weather in Pennsylvania. Out west, Thursday is about as quiet as it gets. Los Angeles at 68 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit and dry. Phoenix at 72 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit sunny. Las Vegas at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. San Diego at 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And the reason those cities are quiet is the same reason the plains are dangerous. The western ridge is pumping Gulf moisture northward like a conveyor belt, feeding every supercell from Amarillo to Wichita with the raw fuel it needs to go severe. The sunshine in California is connected to the storm sirens in Oklahoma. Friday, March 6th. And here is why 7 million people inside an enhanced risk zone is different from a typical severe weather day. This setup has all three modes firing simultaneously, supercells with significant tornadoes in the afternoon, a squall line with 70 to 80 miles per hour straight line wind gusts in the evening, and an embedded tornado threat continuing inside that line overnight. That combination on the same calendar day is what separates a bad weather day from a genuinely dangerous one. The Friday enhanced risk bullseye covers eastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, and western Missouri, Kansas City, Tulsa, and Wichita directly in the center, and the conditional intensity flag means 2-inch plus hail, 70 to 80 miles per hour gusts. And EF2, or stronger tornadoes, are all on the table for the same geography on the same afternoon. And then the broader slight risk stretches from Dallas all the way to Chicago, meaning this storm is going to introduce itself to a very large portion of the country before Friday night is over. The Friday afternoon tornado window is the piece worth understanding most carefully. It opens when the dry line pushes east and supercells fire across central Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, and northwestern Missouri in the mid to late afternoon, and a discrete surface-based supercell in that environment has everything it needs for a long track. Photogenic. And genuinely dangerous tornado forecasters are not ruling out 3, 4, or 5 tornadoes from that afternoon window before the squall line even forms. Then the picture shifts after dark supercells congeal into a squall line around 9 p.m. Friday near Kansas City. And once that squall line establishes, the primary hazard becomes widespread straight-line wind gusts, but this squall line is not going to be clean, because rogue supercells are going to pop up out ahead of the main line. And those rogue cells are the ones that can produce deviant tornadoes. Tornadoes that move in unexpected directions at 2 a.m. when most people assume the worst has already passed. Dallas and Fort Worth. 3 straight days of severe weather, and Friday is the highest ceiling of all 3. The nocturnal squall line means the most dangerous wind and tornado conditions could arrive after most of DFW has gone to bed. County-level alerts on loud before Thursday night. Outdoor items secured. Shelter plan confirmed, and do not assume that because Thursday stayed manageable. Friday will too. Oklahoma City and Tulsa. You are at the center of Friday's bullseye. This is the first big-time severe weather event of 2026, and it is arriving right at your front door. 3 days of storms have a way of making people feel like the threat is winding down, when it's actually just getting started. Friday has the EF2+ conditional flag, the afternoon supercell tornado window, and the overnight squall line with embedded tornadoes' fresh eyes on Friday morning. Shelter plan already in place. Alerts already on. The Friday squall line timeline after 9 p.m., Bartlesville, Jefferson City, Quincy, and Davenport, all in the overnight threat corridor. Chicago hit by the line around 4 a.m. Saturday, and then the system keeps going east through Ohio, continuing into Pennsylvania with a still active squall line and possible severe weather at 3 to 4 p.m. Saturday afternoon, embedded supercells the whole way, tornado threat not zero the whole way. And it does not matter that it started in Kansas. It ends in the mid-Atlantic. St. Louis at 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit with severe weather possible Friday. Joplin, Springfield, and Columbia. Missouri all in the overnight squall line path. And if you are in these Missouri cities, the Friday overnight line arriving in the dark is your primary concern. A fast-moving squall line with embedded tornadoes at 2 a.m. in the dark produces the highest fatality rates in severe weather history. And the difference between those outcomes and a safe night is having your alerts turned on before you go to sleep. Nashville forecast at 84 degrees Fahrenheit Friday, a record high before the cold front crashes through Indianapolis, touching 75 degrees Fahrenheit Friday afternoon. Atlanta at 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and the record warmth heading into that cold front is not a coincidence. It is a thermodynamic amplifier. The bigger the temperature contrast across the front, the more energy available to the storms that develop along it, so the warmer the record highs get on Friday, the nastier the storms that follow them are likely to be. Gainesville. Florida is forecast to hit 87 degrees Fahrenheit Friday, which ties for the highest temperature in this entire 7-day sequence. And widespread record highs are expected across the eastern U.S. on Friday as that deep warm sector pushes farther north than it has any business being in early March Chicago in the 70s. Indianapolis at 75 degrees Fahrenheit, Nashville at 84 degrees Fahrenheit, Atlanta at 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And what most people do not realize is that this abnormal warmth is not just a feel-good story before the storms arrive. It is actively making Friday's tornado threat more significant by the hour. Community check-in for Thursday and Friday. Drop your city and tell us which hazard concerns you most. Thursday's afternoon supercell hail, Friday's tornado window before dark, or Friday's overnight squall line wind event. And if you are anywhere in the flooding corridor from southeast Oklahoma through the Ohio Valley. Tell us what your creek and river levels look like today. Compared to yesterday, those field reports go directly into tomorrow's live stream. And last time we used viewer reports to catch a flooding hotspot 3 hours before the official gauge updated. There is something about Friday's overnight tornado threat that gets underreported tornadoes from a squall line at night can behave in a deviant way, meaning they can move in unexpected directions, sometimes cycling back toward areas the line has already passed through. And the reason storm chasers use the word deviant is not to scare people. It is a tactical description of the most dangerous kind of tornado to shelter, from which is exactly why multiple alert methods on Friday night matter more than they do on a daytime severe weather event. The Saturday picture after Friday's squall line sweeps through the storm train does not stop at the Ohio River. By Saturday mid-afternoon, there is still a robust squall line with embedded supercells working through Louisiana, Mississippi, eastern Kentucky, and middle Tennessee, and a continued severe weather threat in Pennsylvania and West Virginia. This thing is going to be, in the words of the storm chasers tracking it, plumb wild from start to finish, and calling it over on Saturday morning would be the wrong call. Houston at 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit with thunderstorm chances. New Orleans at 72 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, warm with storms possible. Corpus Christi at 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Baton Rouge at 72 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit in the Gulf Coast is watching the Saturday cold front push south with its own wave of thunderstorms for Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. So the Gulf does not escape this week entirely. It just gets the tail end of the storm instead of the head of it. Minneapolis at 32 to 42 degrees Fahrenheit cold with light snow possible. St. Paul at 30 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Milwaukee at 38 to 48 degrees Fahrenheit. Fargo at 25 to 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And the northern tier of the country is the cold reservoir making every storm this week possible. That cold air to the north crashing against 84 degrees Fahrenheit. Record warmth to the south is the fundamental engine of this entire outbreak. And the bigger that temperature gap grows, the more violent the storms along the boundary between them become. And here is the longer range signal worth watching that most national coverage is not connecting. Yet the polar vortex is splitting in two right now. Driven by a sudden stratospheric warming event already underway, it takes 7 to 10 days for that cold air to descend from the stratosphere to the surface, which means the cold air that is going to flip the second half of March is already in motion. And anyone expecting this week's 84 degrees Fahrenheit record warmth to represent what the rest of March looks like is going to be caught completely flat-footed. The mid-March cold signal shows wind chills to 30 below zero in the Dakotas around March 14th to 16th. The freezing line pushing into the southern plains, and a below-average temperature pattern that could persist through the rest of March and into April. And then there's the Tuesday, March 10th severe weather setup already carrying a day 7 slight risk from the SPC, covering DFW, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Wichita, Springfield, Joplin, Fort Smith, and Little Rock Day. 7 postings historically grow, not shrink. Miami at 78 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit warm. Orlando at 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Sunny Tampa at 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Jacksonville at 72 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Partly sunny in Florida and the deep southeast are the quiet corner of the country this week. Sitting comfortably in that warm sector while the plains and Midwest deal with the worst of it, their turn for the mid-March cold air comes later. But it is coming. And the pattern change that arrives in the Dakotas around March 14th is going to be felt all the way to the Gulf Coast within a few days after that. If you live in the enhanced risk zone for Friday, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Kansas City, Wichita, Jefferson City here is the practical list before Friday afternoon shelter plan confirmed. County alerts on and loud. Vehicles move to covered structure if possible. NOAA weather radio with fresh batteries plugged in. And one charged external battery for your phone. None of these things take more than an hour today. And every single one of them matters if Friday delivers on what the enhanced risk is warning about. Before we wrap up, we especially want to hear from the areas that get left out of national weather coverage, the panhandle towns south and west of Amarillo, the rural farming communities along the Oklahoma-Kansas border, the Missouri Ozarks, small towns in western Arkansas and the Ohio Valley. Cities between the major metros, drop your city and tell us what your sky and creek levels look like right now. That ground-level intelligence shapes tomorrow's coverage more than any single model run. Here is what is riding on tonight's model runs. The overnight data is going to tell us whether Thursday's storms stabilize enough to give Friday's afternoon supercells a clean atmosphere to work with, or whether Thursday's overnight convection leaves behind a messy, stable boundary layer that chokes off the tornado window before the main event gets going. Clean atmosphere Friday afternoon or not is the single most important question the models are going to answer tonight. Tonight's models are also going to start sharpening the Tuesday, March 10th picture right now. There is still a question about whether the Baja cut off low phases correctly with the jet stream and if the models start converging on the same answer overnight. Tomorrow's video becomes a very different and more urgent conversation about what is building for next Tuesday, back-to-back major severe weather weeks with a record warm weekend in between is not a pattern that shows up every year. The bottom line for Thursday and beyond Thursday is a chase day and a half in the Texas Panhandle with supercell hail, 70 miles per hour winds, and conditional tornadoes. Friday is the first big-time severe weather event of 2026 with 7 million people in the enhanced risk, a potential tornado outbreak in the afternoon, and a squall line running from Dallas to Chicago to Pennsylvania across 48 hours. Don't be scared. Be prepared, shelter plan in. Alerts on loud. NOAA radio charged. Vehicles covered. And we will see you tomorrow morning with the sharpest Friday picture yet.